Yo, what it is, you know what it is. Welcome to KAXM 90.1 Axum Radio. I'm your DJ Musa. I know today's Wednesday, and y'all are not used to hearing me on Wednesday, but I'm actually pretty excited because we have an episode of the Cheat Sheet coming up at 4:10. So stay tuned in about 3 more minutes. We have the superintendent of Nacogdoches ISD, and I'm not going to tell y'all his name. Y'all going to find out when we start the show. So stay tuned for that coming up at 4:10. Turn this down so I don't get copyrighted. Those are your headphones if you want headphones. Okay. The only thing you pretty much hear is my voice when I cut it on and everything.
Okay.
Some people it helps, some people it distracts because you're still going to be able to hear me here.
Yeah.
And that's about it. At 4:10, we're going to start. I'm going to go through the intro, introduce you. We're going to go kind of into your educational background and how you got started and how did you get to superintendent.
Tell me how you say my last name.
Oh, thank you. Is it Trujillo?
No. I'm gonna give you a shortcut, okay? It's not over the hill. So people say they can't roll their R's because they don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
You can say this. It's not over the hill. That's under the hill. It's through. Through heel.
Through heel.
There you go. You rolled your R's.
Okay.
So I always tell somebody, if you want to say my name, it's not over the hill. It's not under the hill. It's through heel. Through heel.
Through heel.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. I like it.
Yeah, through heel. And when you say it, they're going to say, my gosh, I didn't know he could roll his R's.
Yeah.
They're going to say, you can roll your R's.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you for catching it. Boy.
Yeah. I always got to say it because some people, I've been called Trujillo. I've been called Trojan, Tortilla. I've been called everything. So I always make sure.
So. The Charlie's Candies.
Yeah, there you go.
As a person that I was recording a voice memo and I'm just looking at the script and everything of what I wrote in the email, and the name pops up and I say truly like the candy, and immediately delete that. Don't even start that. You gonna
no, it's through heel. Just through the heel, not over, not under, but through the heel. Yes, I didn't even call Trejo. I'm like, I that's the worst I've ever had is somebody call me Trejo. I don't want to be no Trejo.
Where did you get that? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So you say did you grow up all in New Mexico or
no? I'm a military brat.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm also a veteran of the armed forces.
Thank you.
I was in the United States Air Force. But no, my dad was in the Army, and so he was 3 tours in Vietnam. He's probably 90% titanium on his ankles and shoulder, everything. It's military. So I didn't really have a hometown. When he retired in Roswell, New Mexico. Okay. And I happened to start school there, graduated, and I married my wife. We've been married now 36 years. So it's my high school sweetheart.
Yes. So, high school sweetheart.
Yeah, 36 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I used to think that doesn't exist. I would be honest.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah, 36 years is what we're at. So,
yes, sir. Okay, so how do I be careful? Don't get yourself in trouble. What I've been learning with this whole relationship and love stuff and everything is it takes a lot of there's a lot of misunderstandings from 2 different perspectives. So it takes a lot of listening than talking, right? What is there anything else to that, or what would you kind of recommend that kept you 36 years strong?
The best way I could tell you is I put my foot down and I am the head of the house.
Yes.
But my wife is the neck. She turns the head. You see what I'm saying? So the key is know what. A lot of times if you treat your relationship like you do work and your friends, you're in trouble. Marriage is completely different.
Ooh.
Marriage is you got to know your partners. And people say 50-50. No, 100-100. I'm going to give you 100% of who I am. And if she gives me 50%, I'm just going to still give her 100%.
Yeah.
Because I love my wife every single day.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't like her.
Yeah.
See, the key is that we don't mix those up. We love each other and understand that we're going to have days that we're not going to like each other. But just because we don't like each other doesn't mean we're going to say it's over with. We're going to have disagreements, and you do it in private places. You don't argue in the public, because what happens is if you have a significant other and you argue in the public with them, then your friends are there. The next time you see them, they're going to say, hey, how's things going with you all? And you moved on, but they ripped that Band-Aid off. And then it's worse if they ask you that in front of your significant other.
Yes.
So anytime you have a disagreement, we agreed we're going to have it by ourselves. We get in the car, we have it away from the kids. We have our conversation, and it's not about winning.
Yes.
It's really about understanding each other. If you take the word listen, Listen, and you move it around, it says silence. So you got to be quiet to listen, because a lot of times the message is not right there in front of you. There's a book out there called, The Layers of an Onion.
Mm.
The real problem is deeper.
Okay.
Because what was really bothering her and wants to talk about is not on the surface. You got to stay with it because you get to the bottom of what it really is all about.
So how do you have the patience of being able to listen and endure through the finger pointing,
It's that voice in your head where and you fall for it, and I do, is we're already thinking for a response.
Okay.
I can't think of a response. I got to listen to you completely. I can't. The minute she's talking to me, she can tell by my body language that I've turned it off, and I'm already fixing to tell her what I think.
Yes.
And the other thing is I'm not there to fix her. When she tells me something, sometimes I got to listen carefully because she may not want a solution. She just wants to get it off of her to tell me what's going on. And I have to sit there and say, I understand.
Yes.
That's bad. I don't understand why that person did this, or why. I don't need to. She needs no solutions.
Yeah.
I'm not there to solve her problem. I'm not her dad. I'm her husband. And so if I have a solution, you have to ask, what do you think? Can I tell you what I think? And she can at that point say, no, I just wanted to get off my chest.
Okay.
And then you just bite the bullet. You don't have to solve her problems.
Okay.
So that's what it's a complicated thing, but you have to stick to it.
That's humbling.
Yeah.
That really is humbling.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Let's go ahead and get on the air. You're going to pull that mic a little closer to you.
Okay. How do I do that?
Yes, sir. Just pull it.
Oh, the whole thing.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Perfect. Yo, what it is, you know what it is. It's your man, King Musa. Welcome to the Cheat Sheet, where we decode success for creators, professionals, and business owners. I'm your host, King Musa, and today we will be exploring strategies and insight to elevate your game and set you on a path to success. Today, I have a very special guest who truly embodies success. Give a round of applause for Dr. Gabriel
Trujillo.
Thank you. I was not going to say it wrong. I was just going to wait. Trujillo. Man, thank you so much, Superintendent Trujillo. Y'all, give me patience, okay? We just figured out how to say it, and he gave me the best scenario. Can you teach them how to say it?
Yeah, if people tell you they don't know how to roll their R's, it's not over the hill, it's not under the hill, it's through the heel. Trujillo.
Trujillo. Like that. I want to walk into a room and listen, it's not over the hill, it's not under the hill. It's Dr. Gabriel Trujillo.
Trujillo.
Yeah.
And that's my philosophy, through the hill.
Yes,
Make
sir.
your way through it.
Oh my goodness. I like that. So can you provide background, your background experience in education and your approach in leading Nacogdoches IC?
Absolutely. I've got here as quicker than I have already. I've actually lived in only 3 communities in my 33 years in education.
Yes, sir.
So I've lived in West Texas, Plainview, Texas, and then I moved to the Metroplex. Lived in Duncanville,
Okay.
and raised my kids there, and they graduated from high school at Duncanville High School. And then my next community that I lived in is right here in Nacogdoches.
Oh wow!
So you don't see that much with the superintendent, and that's just something that I've opted to look at, is to live in minimal locations, just not move a lot. I did a lot of moving growing up.
Yes.
And I told myself that's something I don't want to do as an adult, as a dad, as a husband.
So what attracted you to Nacogdoches? Because I was never gonna find this.
Opportunity, and I'm going to tell you, one of the greatest things that this community ever did was bring Alton Fraley.
Okay.
He was my predecessor. I have a great deal of respect for Mr. Fraley, and he coming in. This is his area. I would have never known. I didn't even know where Nacogdoches was.
Yes.
And but when I started looking for superintendencies, Alton was here. He was working here during that time. He stayed a little bit longer than I think he was anticipating. And when the opportunity came up, I jumped in, and here I am. It's hard to believe I'm here actually beginning my 5th year as superintendent here in Nacogdoches.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So
this is the 5th year.
This is the 5th year.
Man, congratulations.
So, yes.
So then what drives your value? What's your value that drives your style of leadership?
I truly believe that every child from the littles meaning our 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, all the way to the graduation, every single one of them have a drive, and they have that grit inside of them.
Okay.
And it's regardless of where they live, regardless of their home situation,
Yes.
regardless of the have not, socioeconomics, that doesn't matter. You're dealing with a brand new spirit.
Yes.
And we've got to find a way to tap into that, whether it's with our brand new Fredonia pre-K center, tapping into our littles there, or creating and expanding opportunities for our high school kids. If you are at the high school and you do not belong to something, it's not because we don't have it. We're going to do everything we can to provide an opportunity for every child here in Nacogdoches to be involved. So,
okay,
yeah,
I do like that. Has there been any significant challenges or successes in Nacogdoches ISD that has shaped your educational philosophy?
Well, I'm along with every superintendent and every educator, every person. I actually think every one of your listeners that are out there, we went through something which was COVID.
Yes.
And I truly, truly believe that this generation that went through COVID supersedes any generation before, and hopefully after. Meaning we don't have another pandemic. But going through this experience has really recentered our communities to see and value relationships.
Okay.
I promise you, when you go see somebody and you embrace them, whether it's your mom, your friend, or an acquaintance, you look at them a little bit different. You hug a little bit longer, because we weren't able to do that. We have a generation of college graduates and high school graduates that did not have a ceremony.
Yes.
We have a generation of college graduates that didn't even attend school. They were all virtual. We had toyed with the idea of not coming to school, and we were trying to tackle how we're going to meet the needs of our kids at home. But what was interesting is, no matter where you're at, if you live in an environment that kids do not have, and we have a great percentage of families in Nacogdoches that are working to make ends meet, we have to help feed. So that means opening up our cafeterias. But that means we have to have a workforce, a group of people that are willing to show up and be able to serve the interests of our kids, whether they're driving a bus or they're serving food.
Yes.
It's that smile that every one of our kids had during that time. So COVID has really shaped a lot of the philosophies that we have, and changed some of the directions of what we have. We talked about briefly about what universities are having to do and what we're trying to entertain as school districts to meet the needs of our kids. You have to realize, when I first arrived in Nacogdoches, we were not one-to-one. Students didn't have a device to take home. Teachers didn't have a device. They were tied and tethered to their classrooms. Yeah. So now students in college have devices. We have to have connectivity, not just at McDonald's or at Cane's, or we've got to have it in our homes. And we live in a rural area. So how do we connect all of our communities so that we have connectivity? Because devices are there, and they're pulling in. So that's one area that has changed the dynamics of what school is all about. So
what did y'all do to kind of change those dynamics?
Well, we didn't have the wonderful internet that is now finding its way through our community. You see those orange spools of neon that are being pulled everywhere. They're pulling fiber. You'll see it in small communities that along the highway. So connectivity is coming. But back then we didn't have that, and we got the devices, and then we realized, okay, they got the devices, but no connection. Yeah. So what we did is we got innovative. So we went to the businesses and community here in Nacogdoches, and we knew families were going to drive in to go eat. So we said, can you open up your Wi-Fi? So when a family comes in with a device and they're sitting in the car and they're going through the Cane parking lot, the Wi-Fi that's at Cane's kicks on, and the laptop that they're using kicks on. It connects, and you can upload and download homework and anything you have. And then when the kids go home, they're able to do their homework. Next time they come to town, mom's going to go by and pay the water bill or go by the city building of some sort, then once again, the Wi-Fi connects. But also with our churches and organizations. So we had to think, we had to be very creative on how we were going to connect our kids to the Wi-Fi. And I thank my team for the ideas that we were able to come up and
generate. And y'all actually use the community. Like most people separate the community from the school, but
no. We connected. Matter of fact, if you recall, during that time we had that big freeze.
Yes.
The ice freeze. Well, we couldn't get fuel into our city fire department, our police department. We couldn't get fuel in. And I had buses that were sitting there because we weren't having school.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I talked to the city manager and the city mayor. One of the most beautiful sights is to go over there and watch our city ambulance, our fire department come over to our transportation and fill up their fuel trucks with our bus fuel to run out. So, we had to partner up with a lot of folks during that time. That's what shaped a lot of these, hopefully, the long-lasting relationships that we have with each other.
Yes, sir. Man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for sharing that. Just because some of those things are not seen. They're not really seen. How does the Nacogdoches ISDs collaborate with teachers, administrators, and parents to support student learning and achievement? Are there any other initiatives other than the technology devices and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. It's we've got to tell our story. We got to capture our story. We got to sometimes work on the narrative. If we don't work on the narrative, then the same stories that have been told get told over and over and over. And so we want to capture those things, celebrate the amazing things that are going on, not just with our students, but with our teachers.
Yes.
Celebrate what's happening in our community, partner with our community. This next weekend, we have a big event. It's Do That. Do That is a big barbecue festival that's going to happen here in town. I'm going to get a trailer and I'm going to be out there cooking and grilling. Yeah. But the key is when you're out there, you're not just looking at supporting just your teachers. You're also being part of the community. You tell your story repeatedly so that when they're at Kroger's or they're at Walmart or they're at any one of our stores here in town, they're able to share the wonderful stories that are going on in Nacogdoches ISD and supporting our students, our programming, and services that we provide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, now that you mentioned the community, how does with NISD, I'm going to shorten it.
Yeah.
How does with y'all engaging with the community, does that and then involving those stakeholders and all the other families, does it kind of bring in more support into the schools and into those needs, into different programs and stuff like that?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you, we can't just do what we've always done. I know the community out here knows Mr. Witt's Barbershop. Okay, Mr. Witt's Barbershop is right up there on the south end of town. And I've sat in that barbershop and talked with Mr. Witt and some of our community. I've never been into a black barbershop. I've never gone to go to the barber there, but to go there and sit there and have conversations, you can find out what exactly the community is thinking and what they're wanting to make sure that you're aware of. In a couple of weeks, I've got something that's called Platicas. We have a very silent community group that's here, and it's our Hispanic representation that we have.
Yes.
And so I will be going, and if this is, I've done this several times with several different families, where I will go into their homes in the evening. We'll sit down and we'll just have, in Spanish, it's called Platica. We'll just talk, no agenda, and just tell me your experiences. Tell me what's going on in the school. They bring their kids in. Their kids are sitting, right on the floor, and we're all talking together. But I will also tell you, when I go into these platicas, I eat really good. They've got some really good Mexican food when you go into the homes. But it's about breaking bread at the table.
Absolutely.
And our conversations not only end around the sofa, it also moves from around the living room and in their sofa into the dining room table, where we can eat and continue to have conversations on what are their concerns, what can we do better, what are our celebrations, and you get to hear things that you don't typically hear. I have a wonderful team of folks, but they're not going to always tell me everything I want to hear.
Yeah.
And so one way to do that is to make yourself available, visible, and spend a lot of time in the community. Whether it's shopping here locally and making sure, my wife already knows this, and we're walking at Lowe's and somebody stops and talks, I'm going to stop and visit with them. I want to know what are they thinking about NISD or Hobby Lobby or wherever it is, but also going into the homes, going into our families' homes, going into our businesses like Mr. Witt's Barbershop and other businesses that we have, just to have conversations about what can we do better. We are never as good as we think we are. We can always become better.
So I'm pretty sure you've been to other communities. And I don't know if it's because NAC is kind of small that allows you to, be able to be this close. But what kind of brought you that perspective of I want to spend time with the community? Just because, like, I don't know if any other jurisdiction is doing this, and things like that. But what kind of brought you to that? What made you say, like, I'm willing to actually step out of the office and into the home?
Well, it's really much more personal. My mom was from La República Dominicana. She was Dominican, and very proud from that country.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I lost her during COVID, but I remember she would make her way to the school, visit with our teachers, but I don't remember a single time whenever my teachers would come to my house or or anything like that. There was no communication that was there. She spoke Spanish only, struggled with that, so she kind of stayed away from that. My dad was a working guy. He was a military guy. That's how we grew up. I'm a military brat, and so he was doing the work that needs to be done. So I never saw that connection between home and school. But I'm going to tell you, you mentioned it's a small community. I was working in Grand Prairie, 40,000 kids. I was doing the same thing I was doing here. So
wow.
It's just a lot more exhausting when you got 3 high schools you're visiting repeatedly. You're also visiting with businesses. You're talking to folks. So it can be done. You just have to make it if that's your priority, is to go out there and touch the community and figure out what's going on. I've got great people that work on one end of the organization. My job is to figure out, okay, what is the perception of the organization to the community, and how can we serve them better, and how can we change and reshape the story that's being told out to the narrative. Have we arrived? No. Are we perfect? No. But we're making every effort to make sure that we meet the needs of what we've been charged with.
Yes, sir. And there's no shame on this. Mistakes happens and stuff like that. I remember while I was working at Bottle Caps, some of those parents were freaking out about a couple little situations with the kids and the guns and everything else like that. But now, what efforts are being made to foster that positive, attitude, that positive environment in the school with, every kid is kind of having the social media where they're seeing, so many school shootings, seeing so many people wanting to bring guns to school, so now they have this comfortability of this is something that people do, you know what I'm saying? And so how do we kind of tackle that in ISD?
Well, we've got to understand that what you're talking about is a lot of times it's 1% of any organization.
Right.
You can come into this university and find out there's probably 1 or less than 1% that are just knuckleheads that are going to do. But 99% of everybody that's on this campus makes the right decisions. They are law-abiding. They follow. They're nurturing. They're relationship building. They're a great billboard for the organization. And if we focus on that 1%, it could scare everybody to death.
Yes.
And so, but we have to address it. We have to make sure that we have it. We're having conversations. We have a group here that's called the All Hazards Group. It's comprised of our local sheriff, our county sheriff, our police department, SFA Police Department, and Nacogdoches Police Department. And also, we have individuals that are also at Regents and some of the other private or parochial schools that we have in town. We all have to come together to make sure that we're protecting our kids and protecting our teachers. So just don't feel like we don't and we're not addressing it. We are having conversations. Like, you just can't tell you what is going on,
of course,
because we don't want the bad actors to know what we're doing. But I promise you, if you have any intent on causing harm at a school or with staff or with students, we have a great partnership with all the law enforcement agencies throughout this area, and we've been working and meeting regularly. Some things that are visible and some things that are not visible. And I just want our parents and our community to know that our priority is keeping our kids safe, keeping our teachers safe. They've got to come to school and do and not worry about that. But to your point, when the kids go home and they're in social media and they see the news, we've got to have parents to have conversations with our kids when they're seeing that, because the sky isn't falling. It's not a bad world. There are bad actors in the world.
Yes.
And that's what sensationalizes news. That's they sensationalize it and they get people hyped up about it, and then all of a sudden you can really go into the paranoia of something like that.
Yes.
So that, but I'm not demeaning it. I'm saying it is real,
Yeah.
and it's going around. And unfortunately, we've had some major events across the state of Texas that have really reshaped that across for all of us. So
I like it, and you did mention those partnerships. So my next question is, what is your vision for the future NISD, and what steps are you taking to make it come true?
Well, we've got several things in the front, one of which is to finish up the bond. I really appreciate this community for stepping in and saying that we're going to provide for the Nacogdoches ISD students. And so we're on the tail end of completing that, being very responsible with our funds, being very transparent with those funds.
Yes.
And so our community can actually see what we're doing with that. The second thing is our commitment to the littles. We have, if our kids have a great start to public education, a great start, then we know that they'll be in for the long haul for the remaining of their years. That also means we don't have all the space in the world. So we have a great leader over at our pre-K center that's partnered with our pre-K. So some of our some of our daycares. So how does Nacogdoches ISD partner with our daycare centers in providing some needs on instruction? But also that means we have a one middle school town.
Yes.
And we transitioned from two middle schools to one. So with that, how do you acclimate that, the culture and the climate, making sure it's a safe environment for our students, and its learning is being measured, and we're able to address the gaps. But when we get to the high school, what opportunities are we providing for our kids? Fine arts, athletics, CTE programming, academics. We broke the record with the number of students with academic UIL that are going on at the high school. But at the same time, we have young men and women that are blowing it up in CTE, whether it's brick masonry. And by the way, we don't have brick masonry as a program. We have students that enjoy it. And so that allows us to look at, can we expand our programming? And then also for athletics. So what are we doing with the athletics program? How are we developing that aspect of it? We have students that want to do that. We didn't ever have an ROTC program, so now we have a military branch. It's part of the Navy. I was wondering why they gave us Navy. Maybe it's Nacogdoches Lake. But they gave us a Navy. I thought it'd be Army or Air Force or Marines. But we have a Navy branch here. So we have a color guard that is at that high school. We have culinary. We have all the different things for our students. And in our fine arts, I don't want to demean with the fine arts. We have a tremendous high school band. But it's not just high school. It's also what are we doing in the lower grades to develop that love for our kids.
Yes.
And the state finds itself in a real crunch because financially, across the state of Texas, it's hurting because we didn't have some funding that came through.
Yes.
But I want to make sure that our commitment is to the fine arts, to the athletics, to the CTE programming, and to all the opportunities our kids have at the high school. We cannot make a commitment of demeaning or cutting back on programming, because these are the things that the kids are interested in school.
Yes. Okay, man, you already have such a great perspective, and I guess it must comes in when you're talking to the families or something. Just because, like, to know that it's not just about, let's say, the grades, because some school districts, they care all about the numbers. Like, it's about, hey, how many students are retention? How many students are passing? How many, like, just are we pushing everybody along? Things like all these little smaller things. But it seemed like here in Nacogdoches, you're recognizing the realness of the students being active in school, engaging in school, and being, embracing it for the things that they are more passionate in and stuff like that. I appreciate you for that.
Yeah, it's a great job. Recruiting is a wonderful thing that we're trying to do to make sure that people know that teaching is not is painted as negatively as it is. Yeah, but there are some things that are demeaning, and it's real. Whenever you're not appreciated, our teachers need salary increases, not just in Nacogdoches, across the board. And it's not just teachers, it's also paraprofessionals.
Yes.
Our bus drivers, they're the first people to see in the morning, and they're the last ones they see at the end of the day.
Yes.
Our nutrition folks that serve our kids their food, they also need to be taken care of. Custodial folks are the ones that walk up and down the hallways making sure that everything looks nice. And so we have to have a commitment, first from the state level, from our governor, to make sure that everything is taken care of for our teachers. And I will tell you this, public education is the one place that it doesn't matter where you come from. That levels, lays the ground level and says you matter. And it doesn't matter if you haven't bathed for a while or hadn't eaten for a while, or
Yes.
you don't have the newest clothes, or you don't have a mom, or you don't have a dad, you live with your grandma, or it doesn't matter, because when you come to school, it's amazing to watch our teachers. They open up their hearts,
Mm-hmm.
they open up their minds, and they have 22 little kids that belong to them.
Yes.
They have, they're like moms and they're like dads. They will give these kids their shirts off their back to make sure that they're provided with what they need. And then they start that all over again the next day.
That's beautiful.
And so it's exciting, and it happens time and time again every single day in our schools. And I just want people to remember that whenever they start trying to shed light and say that public education is not the place where they want their child.
Yeah.
We're going to do, and we're committed to provide everything that our students need. Number one, safety, taking care of their academic needs, and then dive into their minds and
Yes.
figure out what they want to do, whether it's with their hands or with their minds. If
Yes.
they decide to go to college, we shouldn't ask a kid, what college are you going to go to after you're going to graduate? What we should be asking them is, what is your career after high school?
Yes.
Because that career could be a plumber and make six figures.
Yeah.
Or it could be a bricklayer, it could be a mechanic, it could be an engineer, it could be a lawyer. We talked about this. So there's all kinds of opportunities for kids. They just we just got to lay it in front of them.
I wish I was growing up, boy. I wish I was growing up. So then the question I have, is there any other, as you look at other ISDs or things like that, and you say you're just starting in 5 years, we at 5 years coming up next, right?
Yeah.
Was there any other initiative that you see at these maybe bigger communities or different ISDs that you would like to Nacogdoches to experience? Or
I want to strengthen our relationships with Angelina College,
mm-hmm.
As well as SFA. We've got great partnership with SFA, Angelina College. We're not fortunate enough to have a junior college in our county.
Yeah.
So the one that we do have is Angelina College, and the relationship there would be tremendous, and we're continuing to work on that.
Yes, sir.
But also with Texas Workforce Commission, because Texas Workforce, they do a study and figure out what does it look like for the future. We've got a brand new business in town. Eaton's coming in. I'm excited for them to be here. But how do we prepare our kids and our community to go in there and have a workforce ready for them?
Yes.
We have I-69 coming through here. So what businesses are going to be eventually moving in this direction, and how prepared are we going to provide our populace? I want to make sure that when we graduate kids,
yes,
which we'll be graduating real soon at the end of this month.
Yes.
Well, we're in April still, but this next month.
It's almost done.
It'll happen.
It's almost done.
I want these kids to graduate and not feel like they have to leave Nacogdoches, that they can get a job here.
Yes.
And they can make a living here, and they can raise their family here. Otherwise, they can go off somewhere,
mm-hmm.
go get a better education somewhere else if they want to. If they don't want to, if they're not going to attend SFA, they're going to, but come back home and be able to open up a business here, employ folks from here, and expand that way, and not lose the values of this little town. This little town has got some great values and historical significance that we've got to capture. And I got to tell your audience that if they have not walked out there to look at some of the places that are around here, we're very unique when you're able to go to some of our businesses
yes.
Here in town. So it's amazing what Nacogdoches has to offer. So one of the things that I would hope in the future is that we graduate our kids and they come back. Let me tell you a story. I got 3 high school students.
Come on.
They graduated from a teaching program at Nacogdoches High School last year. You know where they were in August?
Where?
Signing up for Nacogdoches ISD as an employee. So they
Seriously?
went straight from high school, and they went over and they were employed with Nacogdoches ISD as paraprofessionals.
Mm-hmm.
They are just wrapping up their first year as an employee. They're going on with their education degree.
Yes.
These 3 individuals, I hope, when they complete their education program with SFA,
mm-hmm.
they will come on board and be an educator here. They never had to leave the community. They went straight from the high school, went to be employed to Nacogdoches ISD, and they're attending school at SFA, and then they'll eventually become teachers here.
Yes.
So that's what we have to do, is figure out how can we take our high school kids, walk them across the stage, and then they decide to either get their education at SFA or go to work here in town. We got great industries. We got the poultry industry. You got the logging industry. There's things that we can connect them into the community.
You are spewing into the question that I want to ask, but we're not there yet. I got one more question before we dive into our main topic questions, guys. The question I have is, now when I was, going through school, they started to introduce the dual credit classes, and they were pushing it,
Yes.
but for us it was kind of new, and you were just like, no, I don't see the purpose of it. But then I get to college, and I hear all these other people who are coming in with college credits, who are coming in with, pretty much their associate's degrees and all this other stuff. How is NISD using that as an advantage for the lack of education, or for the lack of, let's say, finances, to say, you know what, by us providing these college classes in high school, some of these students can almost walk out with a bachelor degree. Pretty much, they get really close.
Absolutely. My son graduated from Texas A&M in almost 2.5 years. He went in as a classified second semester sophomore.
Yeah.
And so it does happen where students can do that through dual credit opportunities. But once again,
what's the like vision for that? What's the future for that?
Well, we've got to make certain that, the traditional dual credit for the academics, nothing's really changed. You still have it in the core areas, but there are opportunities we could tap into that are also in CTE.
Yes.
You can get dual credit opportunities in the workforce. And so that you can continue your education. If we have a student that wants to graduate and gets his dual credit hours in welding, then can he get that? And so that when he decides to graduate, he's going to go off to a trade school. And in that trade school, those dual credit hours can apply to helping him graduate that much quicker so he can get into the workforce.
Yes.
So when you're talking dual credit, you got to realize you got academic dual credit and you got workforce and industry-based dual credit. Some of those dual credit courses means you have to have a stronger relationships with a junior college. That's why I say Angelina College, because Angelina College can link that up, or LIT out of Houston. Or if you have it with SFA. SFA does a great job with the academics, not on the trade school side of it.
Yes.
So how do we match that up for our students? But the other thing you have to realize is we want to make sure and make real certain that we're not diluting the system, because if we do, then the colleges wind up with students that we say that they're ready and they have the availability, and they come up here and a professor can literally sit across a student and say, what the heck? This kid doesn't have, and then you wind up with foundation, an overabundance of foundation courses at the university level, because they're trying to catch up with what the high school may have done with deficiencies with it. But more than that, we've got to reach further back.
Okay.
You can't just start at high school. You got to start looking at middle school.
Right.
You got to start looking at kids to say, you know what, can any of these kids that are here in middle school be placed in an advanced programming, advanced academic area, so that when they get to the high school, they have more opportunities to do that rather than doing the traditional. There are kids in middle school that are bored to death. They're sitting in an academic classroom, and they have all the knowledge to complete what they're doing, but they're bored to death because they're sitting in the traditional math class or the traditional English class. So let's provide opportunities for our kids even further down to the middle school level, so that when they get to the high school, their windows open up even wider. Because if they have to still level out some classes in high school, they're not going to wind up in those upper level classes. And just because the state says Algebra 2 is not required anymore with the math track, we want to encourage the higher level math courses. But that also means how do we bring in and partner up with teachers that can teach those higher level courses? Does that require us to have partnerships with professors at the university that can come over and provide some dual credit opportunities? Do I have staff members that have the ability to teach the dual credit opportunities? And how do I prepare our staff to meet those challenges? Our kids are getting brighter and brighter and smarter and smarter. We're backloading a lot of content. So we've got to change with the times to figure out, okay, what can we do to meet the academic needs of our students? And I would say in sixth grade, we'd start looking at identifying, and then we start looking at seventh grade and shifting them over into algebra. I don't remember taking algebra when I was in middle school at all. It was basic math. And so the key is, how do we do the things to backload in order to fill we do it with the fine arts. We do it with some of the other areas. Coaches, they'll know. I'll go right here to the park, right here on campus, and you can see the Little League football team out there. Coaches are out there and they're saying, boy, this kid's going to be a heck of a football player. And he's 7 years old. Yeah. So if they see the talent that early, we've got to tap into an academics as well to see the talent as well. Figure out what do we need to do to help provide that for our kids.
Oh, that's so cool. I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and dive into this main topic question. So currently, um, freshman year for a lot of those high schoolers who just got here, just it's ending, right? And there has been a tussle on trying to figure out, should I take a online class or should I take a in-person class and things like that, right? Or which classes I should take or what major I should be in. A lot of people are dropping classes, adding classes, changing their majors. So the question that I have for you, looking at how much you told me of the involvement, how the initiatives that we're taking, should a student pursue their passions or skills in college? Skills meaning like, oh, I've been good at math, I've been good at computers, I've been good at these things that I did in high school, but no, my passion is like teaching. My passion is arts, fine arts, dancing, TV, radio, all these other spots that are, well, I see this person doing it, I really like that, and I watch that all the time, versus, oh, I only see this good paying job. I only see this good paying job.
Well, it's I'm off the clock because I'm not actually an employee with the district now, so I'm gonna go a little religion with this one, because it says works and deeds. You can't just pray. You can't just pray to God and say, God, give me what I need to have. You got to work at it as well, and you can't just work at it and not have the faith behind it.
Right.
So you got to have a balance of both of those. This is, and if you'll go with me, this is both of them with regards to this.
Yes, it is.
Because when you're living in a world that you want to be they want to be the man in charge or the young woman in charge, then you got to put the work behind it. You can't just be the person in charge overnight. You're going to have to put the work behind it.
Okay.
And that's that work ethic that comes. Now, whether it's virtual or not, I will tell you that to your listeners, you live in a whole different world. You need to know what that virtual world looks like. My son works for Amazon. A portion of his day is virtual. So what does that look like? How does he motivate himself to do the job? Because he's maybe working out of his apartment for a day or 2 days. Home. And if he's falling short on that side of it, it's going to cost him his job. So I think in the university setting, you've got to be able to purposefully set yourself up to take things that are virtual.
Okay.
Because that's the world you're going to live in. That's the world you're going to work in. So you've got to realize, how do I work best? Am I going to, when I'm off and I'm doing my virtual work, what does my environment need to look like so I can be productive?
Yes.
And then you also got to be able to show up and be able to have relationships with folks at work, be able to talk, show up, have casual conversations, disagree, agree, compete with each other, present to each other, all the soft skills that need to be done. So I think living in a world, we've got to realize that you don't just survive by talent.
Yes.
We have some very talented, Michael Jordan, one of the most talented guys out there in basketball.
Yeah.
But every day after practice was over with, he would grab the basketball and he would be in the gym. That's the work. So you've got to be able to do the work behind it and prepare yourself so that whenever it comes up, you're great when it counts.
Yes.
You can't be great all the time. So you're great all the time, you're going to burn out. You can be good, but you better be great when it counts.
Okay.
And when you're going to be great when it counts is because you're constantly you're studying longer hours, you're reviewing, you're doing a little bit more than what the professor's asking you to do. You're looking into it to figure out, okay, what if he goes this way, what's something I might be able to look at? And then don't pick the easy route.
Yeah.
Don't pick the easy route. Some people pick the easy route to go. Pick the route that's less traveled, and it will pay off for you. It's done for me professionally. For this, I came from a big district, 40,000 kids. I was in the Metroplex.
Right.
You would think it's easy coming to a small rural community. It's not. It's one high school town. And when you walk into the grocery store, you're going to bump into a lot of people. And in the Metroplex, I can go into a Walmart and I might not see nobody that I know. And that's a lot easier than walking in. And you better be prepared. You better know your work. You better know the stuff that we're doing. And you better be able to articulate that. I say that to the kids here as well. They're here for a purpose. They're in a great university. SFA is a beautiful campus.
It is.
And you have the ability to build relationships like you can't nowhere else in any other university because it's so small.
So that's and I've been bouncing around this question a little bit. And I've been learning a little bit more. Everybody's kind of different, so you never know who you have. But that self-starting attitude, that I'm gonna get involved attitude, and things like that. When freshmen are coming to college, right? Now, for me, when I thought about coming to college, this is where I was gonna become the radio person, the trainer, this is where all this other stuff that I have to just take these classes. When I get here,
Yes.
I can dive into it. I can work with my teachers. I can work on these projects.
Yeah.
But when people get here, they kind of just go back into that student mentality and not willing to, step out and everything else like that. So my question now is, how would you be able to get a senior in high school who's just graduating to understand who they want to be, or what trade or what practice or, what they truly want to do other than what they were influenced to do, as far as just, oh, I was good at this, or I just got good grades, or this is going to pay well.
Yeah.
How do they find themselves in their major or in their academics?
Well, one of the exciting things that we've done, and this is actually the second year we've done this, we bring our middle school kids up to the high school.
Mm-hmm.
And we have what's called high school ambassadors, and they get to tell the story. You've got to be able to get out there and tell your story and get away from your shyness, being able to have a conversation, because they're fixing to go to college or they're fixing to go to the workforce.
Right.
And you can't just hide in the corner. You're going to have to be able to talk to complete strangers when you're in that environment. So we've got to make sure that when our seniors graduate, that they don't only see themselves as mentors to the ones coming up, but also they get to have an opportunity. I promise you, when I met you when I first came in, great smile, great attitude. You came in shaking your hand, and you had a great outlook in life.
Thank you.
I promise you, you don't meet a stranger on this campus.
I don't.
And the key is, when a freshman steps on this campus, I think it's actually up to this campus, the juniors and the seniors. Don't pass anybody without sharing what God gave you. God gave you a beautiful smile, gave you a great attitude.
A wave.
A wave. That's it. You give them a wave, you give them a smile, they're thinking, I'm here. And then guess what? They see you the next time, they might be the one waving at you.
Yes.
And so I do this every single day in my job, is I will not walk anywhere without a smile. It doesn't matter what kind of day.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what kind of day I'm having. I'm going to make sure that joy is in my spirit, and I'm able to share that with anybody and everybody I'm walking with, because they make first impressions. If their first impression of this university or any place is that I don't matter, then they might not come back. They'll be here, and then, Mom, I want to go home. Or a kid goes to the high school and says, Mom, I don't want to go to Nacogdoches High School. So we want to make sure that they know that when they come in, you only have one chance to make sure that person feels welcomed, and part of the mission of what you're going to do. And sometimes it takes is a smile, it's an outreach of a hand, or can I help you? So our seniors, as they transition from being those mentors and leaders at the high school, they reset.
Yes.
And they come into whatever area they're at. So if you have somebody from Tipton Ford that's listening, and they have a new employee coming in, I promise you, if they're onboarding that person is going to feel that much more part of it. Sometimes it's not all about the money. It's all about how you make me feel about being part of your organization.
Right.
And so that's what plays into it, whether it's a college, a school district, or an employer, is working on our team to onboard all of our new people and making sure that they understand you're valued, you're appreciated, you're welcome onto the team. And it takes, you have to give up some of your time, but I promise you it'll pay off in the long run. So that would be my word with regards to is just to have a good onboarding process for the transition in all of our lives, wherever we're going, whatever we're doing. So,
Superintendent Trujillo, I really appreciate you. Your perspective on all of these questions not just took just the academic approach and focusing on that, but it seemed like you truly and do focus on the individual student, the individual connection, the individual, psyche, of it. And that is something that I'm glad to see that you have. And as a leader for the ISD, I'm sure it trickles down to not only the teachers, but the principals and everything else like that.
Well, I will always say to God the glory.
Amen.
Because that's if I own it all, that means I'm saying I'm doing it. I'm not. We're all doing it because of His grace. So I appreciate those words, but also know that we've got some great people in this community, whether they're part of the school district or in the community. So. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you today.
No, I appreciate you.
Yes.
Well, thanks to our amazing guest for sharing his wisdom with us today. Remember, success is a journey, and the cheat sheet is here to help you along the way. Subscribe, get connected with us on social media, and join the community. Until next time, I am King Musa signing off. Thank y'all for tuning in.